What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Today, we're talking about this viral clip right here.
Probably not things I can talk about on a podcast, but we were, let's say, discouraged from actually including it in the final.
Discouraged by Mr. Grusch or by other people?
Other people.
Oh my.
All right, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I really need your help. Now, let's talk about this clip. That's not the full clip. We're going to see the full clip that I just showed. But basically, this documentarian, well, shouldn't say that. He's a media studies professor at Notre Dame. He made this documentary, and during the filming of the documentary, he interviewed David Grusch and then was told not to include it. So I've got all the details. Let's jump into this. Stay tuned to the end because I have a very special surprise for another thing that this media studies professor said that was very interesting.
And I was warned about this by Diana Pasulka, but we spent most of the night talking about Satan.
And I'll tell you who that was that he had dinner with at the very end of the video. But let's jump in. So again, this video is about David Grusch and this interview that he recorded for this documentary. Now, the last time we saw David Grusch in public was at the hearing, right? In September. You can see him right here behind Lowen Bobert. Well, apparently he had filmed this interview and it got shelved, right? And we haven't seen anything from David Grusch. Now, let's watch the full viral clip here and then we'll break it down.
We actually interviewed David Grusch, the whistleblower from 2 years ago, I guess now.
Wow.
We had a 3-hour interview with him. I felt like we got some new stuff and probably not things I can talk about on a podcast, but we were, let's say, discouraged from actually including it in the final.
Discouraged by Mr. Grusch or by other people?
Other people.
Oh my. Oh, geez. This is everybody's least favorite part of the conversation is the shadowy cover up. Deep state bullshit, frankly.
So this is very interesting. Like, who are the others, right? I really wish that podcaster would have asked, who told you this, right? But I get it. You're in the middle of an interview, this, that, and the other. Things happen. That would have been a great follow-up question. He may not have been able to answer, but that would have been good to know because who is it? Who's telling this media professor not to include this 3-hour interview he recorded with David Grusch? So who is this guy saying that he interviewed David Grusch?
What the UFO? I'm speaking with Brett Robinson. He's a media studies professor at the University of Notre Dame. Brett, it's really great to meet you. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Caleb, good to meet you. Thank you.
So he's a media studies professor at Notre Dame, right? He makes this documentary. And how does the documentary come about?
A few years ago, after this latent period of UFO interest, I was approached by a friend of mine who does documentary films. And he said, I want to do a film on UFOs and the Catholic Church. What should Catholics believe about this? And I immediately sort of just went back to that place in my imagination of, yeah, this is a cool topic. And now I felt like I had new tools to think about it with, especially with regard to media studies and the way in which technologies and the ways we talk about technology form social environments that we occupy. And so that those came together really nicely. And in this documentary, we talked to theologians, philosophers, astrophysicists, and tried to do what we call a Catholic take on this, which would be something akin to appealing to the humanities and the liberal arts to say that this is not purely a scientific question or technological question. It's a question about, the cosmos. And when you ask questions that are that big, I think the tools of theology, philosophy, and science, but also literature and the imagination and so on are really useful and helpful. So
it sounds very interesting, right? This whole thing that he tried to put together, and he got an interview with David Grusch. I wonder who set that up, but wasn't able to include it. But, sound like he hit all the people he wanted to hit. And, I was wondering like, oh, when is this documentary going to come out? Well, check this out.
I'm curious about the status of the documentary. Did you release it or is it still in the pipeline?
It's on YouTube. It's called Edge of Belief. It's got about, I don't know, 10,000 views, which is good for us. I mean, we did it on a pretty low budget.
It's already out. It's been out for 10 months. Here it is right here. I'll put a link down below on YouTube. You can go watch it. It's like 30 minutes or so. It doesn't include anything of Grusch, but it has a lot of other people you may know, including Diana Pasulka, of course. Rightfully so for that type of documentary, but so interesting, right? So, vetters, let me know what you think down in the comments. You know, who are the people that told this guy not to include this in the documentary? I'm making a documentary right now, and the idea of someone coming and telling me not to include something is interesting. I wouldn't film with them. So he must have already had a release. So he could have legally released it, but for some reason was advised not to by who? Is it because something David Grusch said? Or was it just don't use Grusch, right? This is so fascinating to me and so interesting. Again, I'm in the middle of a documentary right now. Again, you make the arrangement before you film what is going to happen with that film. Otherwise, why would you film with it? That's the whole point. You set all of that up ahead of time, the release and everything. So this is so interesting. They would have done that before they filmed with David Grusch. So this is so interesting to me how they could have been bullied, you know, into not releasing this. I would love to know why, because what if that happens to me? I personally would not. I would have released it. Sorry. You know, if we got released and it's legal, we're putting it out. I'm so curious about this. I really want to know what happened. So, as you remember at the very beginning, I said I would say something for the very end because there was another part of this interview that was very fascinating. While they were making this documentary, that this guy sat down with Jacques Vallée and talked about this.
This is actually, we had dinner with Jacques Vallée, and maybe I'll just end on this story. We didn't get to film him, but we had dinner with him and his wife, and we spent most of the night talking about, and I was warned about this by Diana Pasulka, but we spent most of the night talking about Satan. And he was fascinated with this phrase in scripture that Satan is the prince of this world. And he kept saying, why would God make Satan the prince of this world? Like, why would he give him that elevated status, right?
Yeah, so that was Jacques Vallée he was talking about. He had a dinner with Jacques Vallée, couldn't film with him, but all they talked about was Satan. And he was warned about that. So fascinating, right? By Diana Pasulka, warned, hey, just so you know, you probably, if you sit down with Jacques Vallée, you're just going to talk about Satan. I don't know, I just find that interesting, to say the least. So anyway, link down below. Go watch the full interview if you like. Look, we'll let me know what you think down in the comments. And of course, as always, we'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
Hi, Patrick. My name's Laura. I'm a long-time watcher of your show, Vetted. I was just calling because you'd said something about psionics, and I wasn't sure if that included remote viewing or not. I had a very interesting situation. I was watching another YouTube channel, and they had, I think his name was Joseph McMonagle on. He's one of the better remote viewers, and he was talking the host through, you know, how to do remote viewing, or what the process was. So I thought, you know what the heck, I'll follow along. You know, what's the worst that could happen? And when he, you know, got to the end and was, you know, finally showing the picture that he had brought up randomly or whatever, the picture that I had drawn was literally like so close, like almost exactly what he had brought up, and it was scary. I mean, it was pretty jarring. I was not expecting it to look anything like the photo he had, and it had pretty much all of the major points on the photo that he showed. Anyways, super creepy, and really interested in looking more into the remote viewing thing anyways. So I guess that's my story. Keep up the good work. Love your channel.